Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 1 of the podcast. Today I'm joined with the first guest, Emily. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, of course. Thank you for having me, first of all. My name's Emily. A few things about myself is I go to Southeastern Louisiana University. I'm a junior and I'm an English major in my senior year, set to graduate in the fall.
That's awesome. Are you excited about graduating?
Definitely.
Do you have any plans for after you graduate?
Currently, I'm a bit on the fence about where I'm going to go with my degree.
That's understandable.
Yeah, but I do think that I'm going to go along the path of editing, editorial work, or hopefully get a job in the publishing field.
Okay, that's very interesting. So let's get back to the roots. So how did you decide that you wanted to be an English major?
So I've always had like a sort of natural affinity for writing and reading, especially more reading. I enjoy writing in my pastime, but mostly I like to read, and it's something I've always been naturally good at in school. So whenever it came time for me to go to college, English major was just the natural choice for me.
Did you have any other options, or was that really the main thing that you kind of knew you were going to go into?
Not really. I thought of communications for a little bit.
See, that's more in the same field, though.
Right. Like working with other people was possibly the other path I wanted to take.
Right. Okay, that's really interesting. So how have you been enjoying this major so far with everything? I know you said you liked reading and writing before. Has that changed? Has that become like maybe you like one more than the other?
Yeah, definitely. It gets harder as it progresses, as it does with lots of other majors.
Right, yes.
And getting into major-specific work where I'm taking just English courses and only reading and writing constantly, I would definitely say that I enjoy reading more.
Mm-hmm.
It is a lot easier. Writing can be a lot. It can be a big workload at times.
Right. It definitely takes a lot more brain power to write something down than to read something.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's what I would like to work with if I go into publishing as well, is helping people who are authors to books rather than authoring those books myself.
Right. So you kind of want to be more behind the scenes, not necessarily like in the front lines.
Right.
Doing
No,
stuff like
not
that.
the one in the picture, but the one helping to create it. Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you still enjoy writing yourself.
Yeah.
Do you think you could see yourself publishing one day?
I could whenever life dies down a little bit, when it's not so stressful from work or school, or I just have downtime.
Right. Okay. How about some challenges? Have you faced any overwhelming challenges or little small challenges? Just any that stick out to you through the course of your career, since you're almost done with college now.
Yeah, I would say the biggest challenges is just balancing every assignment with each other, especially as courses will overlap, right? You have like 2 papers due in 1 week, and then you have to read several chapters of several different books on top of that, and retaining that information is definitely the hardest. And then getting scores back on papers that you genuinely feel like you've poured your all into is another challenge, because sometimes that's a hard thing about being an English major and getting feedback from a professor. You don't always understand it, because in undergrad programs you don't have the same experiences as lots of these professors who have a bunch of professional experience. A lot of them have, experience going to different conferences too, and writing dissertations, essays, presentations. Like, further in, I realize how intelligent my professors are and how well experienced they are. So I respect them, but at the same time, getting feedback is very challenging. It's the biggest challenge when you think that you're doing your best, and then you find that you're not getting the best scores.
Right.
That.
And I'm sure another thing too is your professors grade differently or have a different opinion of how something should be. How has that been?
It's interesting because, different professors expect different things, and the difficulty level will change from course to course. Also, that's the experience I found whenever I take 400 level English courses and 300 level, like just the different different levels of all of those. It's interesting to see how everything will compare and contrast. So.
Do you feel that the courses in the 400 level are more difficult content-wise or more difficult workload-wise? Or is it kind of depending on what kind of class it is or even what professor it is?
Yeah, I would say it depends on the course. I think with the higher level course you go into, the more, I wouldn't say it's the workload, but it's the quality of your workload. You can't get away with just like getting a paper done in a night. I mean, I may try to sometimes, but you know, you just can't get away with those quick writing like you used to before. You actually, to get a good quality paper with a good grade, like a A level grade, you have to spend time into it, honing in a good argument that is really backed up throughout the whole paper.
Right. Okay. And I know you said earlier you have a little bit of a workload balance issue. That's been one of the challenges. Is it because of anything that's outside of school, or is it mainly inside of school? Like, do you have a job or anything?
Oh, yeah, I definitely, the majority of it comes from jobs outside work. I have 2 jobs that
wow.
I balance with work, yeah. And both of them are in food service, which can be a bit hectic to come in and out of. The stress levels are difficult, and also the hours are crazy, of course.
Right.
So balancing that with school is a big challenge as well, with organizing time. Because when you spend time with papers and reading, I mean, like with any major, they have their own version of this, right, where you have to dedicate time to your profession of study. So for me, I'm a slow reader and writer, and I used to be able to write a paper and have it one and done, but as I mentioned before, like with the course levels being more difficult and the expectation increasing with that, it is incredibly hard to do that now.
Have you found it's more difficult to section out your time, like especially saying you could do everything all in one night? Has it been harder to break up your sessions of doing different types of work?
In what ways?
I guess as in, let's say you have a paper that's coming up in 2 weeks. Like, how would you go about working on that paper? Like, what's your time frame looking like?
Okay. So if I found out today I had a paper due in 2 weeks, I honestly would put it in the back of my mind.
Right. Well, I'm sure you have a lot of other work.
Right.
Yeah.
But then you have to think, one of the courses I took this semester actually has focused a lot on how to organize your time and thought when it comes to papers and the process behind writing. And so what I will do a lot is I will think about what I want to do the paper on, and before it actually comes to me meeting like the writing process, I think about it very often, and I'll try to find like maybe a source here and there. It depends on the type of paper. If it's a research paper, then I definitely will need to allot a certain amount of time, like maybe a few hours here and there, to finding sources, because generating sources takes up way much more time than you ever think it does. Like, I always hop into a research paper thinking I'll take, just a couple hours to find my sources, and then I end up taking 5 or 6. So it just depends. I would say about a week before, though, is really whenever I start to grind into what needs to be done, like organizing the paper, and finding an argument would be the biggest thing. And then from there it's pretty smooth sailing. I would say it maybe takes me like a day or 2 to actually sit down and finalize a paper, but picking an argument, selecting that's going to be the hardest part. That may take several days, so I try to give several days before. If it's a minor, if it's a bigger research project, then I will need to section my time better, but that's generally how I approach it.
Okay, and then I know we've talked a lot about research type papers. Is that mainly what you're doing right now?
So yes and no. I think right now for all of my final courses, I have big research papers for each class that I'm having to work with, but prior to this, it's all been analysis, close reads, like variations of different paper paper approaches, I guess you could do. But right now, it is all of my final projects are research.
Okay.
Research.
Is that
papers.
because of your like specific choices in what to go into, or is that just how it is in general for English majors as compared
That's a
to
good-
like fictional writings?
Right, that's a good question. I think my specific focus within English is literature and language. So I do think that which dictates all of the courses that I have to take definitely has an influence on it, because some of the other focuses you can have, I believe, at Southeastern are creative writing and education. So for education majors, I don't know what that would look like. I think it would
Right.
involve research, but also incorporate more of an education factor to it. And then for creative writing majors, I don't know what that would look like, but I
Right.
think that theirs would be
A lot more freedom,
right, more
probably.
creative liberty,
Which has its benefits and its downsides, because you have to think a lot more about what you're going to do and how you're going to do it, versus with research, I feel like it's very set out for you. You can
Right.
do this research on this topic.
Well, the difficulty with research, and this is, I guess, like the goal of having concentration in literature and language, is there are so many arguments over the years about so many different types of literature, right? So the goal with researching is to find an original argument that is backed up by credible, like reputable sources, right? That you can use to back up yours, but still have it be original take that is not already in the field, and that's really challenging to
Well,
work
that's
with.
an interesting point. Not trying to copy other people, I guess.
Right,
Yeah.
right. It's not just like, oh, here is this point that I found in so and so's article about, the book Paradise Lost by Milton, but it's rather, oh, here is a take that I have, and I'm going to use all of this research about it to prove my point. But you also, this is one thing I've learned, especially this semester, you also can't simply summarize as well. You have to really
Right.
learn how to integrate like argumentative tactics to prove your project.
Okay,
So.
interesting. Let's get on a little bit of a different topic. So, how has your social life changed maybe as you've gone through college as compared to high school or younger?
Right. It's definitely changed a lot, because with the little amount of time outside of school and working 2 jobs, whenever you get spare time, you just want to sleep. Or at least for me, being an introvert, like I just want to rest a lot of the time.
I mean, especially like you said, if you're working 2 jobs and going to school and doing homework, I'm sure takes a big toll on you.
Right. Yeah, no. It's definitely really hard, because when you think of mental health too, like take that into consideration, often I don't think about my mental health. Like I'll just be go, and I don't ever take moments to stop for myself. So it's weird distinguishing like when I need to stop with other people to relax versus whenever I need to stop by myself and relax, because I do need both. I do need that interaction with other people and, positive connections with good friendships to keep me going. Like that's very important to me, but at the same time, I need personal resets. That isn't just sleeping every night or finding time to sleep enough every night. So I would say it definitely takes away from all of my social life. Like it limits it for sure. But with that, I guess whenever I do get social interactions with people, it just means that much more to me because I'm valuing it a lot more. So
Good. So since you're about to graduate, have you thought about what your 5-year plan is? I'm sure graduating is one of those,
Right.
and finding a job, but other than that, what are you looking for in your 5 years?
yeah, I would say right now I'm planning to go with the flow. Right now, I want to break from school, so I've considered master's program and going into grad school, but for now I would like to take a gap year for sure. and just focus on working and trying to find a job. Like next semester before I graduate, I'm gonna be sending through applications and just seeing what responses I get back from the fields that I'm interested in working in, and from there decide, what living situation is going to look like, right? Like right now I live with my parents, so I'll have to consider moving out as an option and what that's going to look like. And, in Louisiana, there's not a huge market for publishing or editorial work that I would be interested in, so I might have to venture out with that. So a lot of that, the plan within the 5 years is going to be dependent on what's available in the job market, and then just me deciding from there where I would like to go. But in 5 years, in the grand scheme of things, I would like to see myself like in a stable job, that I can hopefully utilize my degree for, that I wouldn't get otherwise.
Right. Yeah.
Just like helping other people. Like the reason why I didn't want to go into, the medical field or maybe like psychology or anything like that is because I really enjoy the idea of helping people, but I don't think that I could handle at least like the stress of those fields. So I would like to help other authors in some way, like get their voices out there in whatever way I can. So at the end, that will be my goal in 5 years, is finding a job.
I feel like that's a very fulfilling goal to have, especially not only for your self-fulfillment, but fulfillment of other people's goals and their lives and what they want to do. I think that's a very beautiful thing that you want to do.
Thank you.
Of course.
And one thing too is I, being in college, right, interacting with other English majors and even non-English majors, I could give you at least like a list of 5 people right now who have told me that, oh, I want to go into, or I want to publish a book. I have a book that I've written. Like I have a good friend who's an education major who has a children's book, and she really is looking into publishing. So, what I will continue to learn about that, I think, will be really helpful. Like I want to help those other people around me too, because I think that everyone's voice should have an opportunity to be heard.
Right, especially because it's not just people you don't know who are trying to get something published. These are people you actively work with. Like these are your colleagues, and I think that is a very special interaction to have to build that up as well. Okay, so on to our final questions. What is something that you wish you knew before coming into college? And this could be either college specific, or this could be like English major specific, or both.
Just one.
You could choose as many as you'd like.
Okay. One thing from going to high school to college, I definitely would have, I wish I knew how vastly different the workload was going to be, because people in high school you really can get away with just kind of like goofing your way through and getting passable grades, but in college you really have to take things seriously, because if you don't, then it accumulates a lot and you have to keep up with it, because if you don't, then like one situation I found myself being in is I put assignments, push them back, or don't complete them, and then that majorly affects my grade, which affects my GPA, and I receive financial aid to go to school, so I need to maintain a certain GPA to keep that. So I would tell myself to pace. Like pacing is so important through college, and I would really tell my younger self to pay more attention to it. And another thing also I would tell my younger self is that things get tougher as you go along, because I remember my first semester I did do really well despite what I just said. Like all of my courses were gen ed courses, right? Like
the easier ones.
Very basic, right? Like all 100 level, intro level courses, and that semester just kind of gave me a false mentality of, oh, like I can just get through college doing all of this and bluffing on some things, and now as it's getting more serious, I'm realizing, oh, if I could just go back and tell myself, you just need to be prepared at all times. I would tell myself to be more prepared and organized.
Okay, I think that's good advice. The last question I have for you is, what advice would you give to someone who is thinking about being an English major, but they haven't decided if that's right for them or not?
Ooh, that's a good question. I would say definitely peruse the field and see what you would like to do with it, because I mean, despite what I've said about not being clear about what I want to do, I always have had, since I was younger, that desire to go into editing. So I think that honing it into one thing will be very good, because then you can get hopefully some experience with what you would like to do, right? So for publishing, like I'm in a publishing class right now, and I've gotten the opportunity to work with an author to publish a chapbook, which is just a small little collection of stories, and it's going to be published by the Literary Press, I think maybe this month or next month, and my name is in that book as an editor. So
That's very exciting.
yeah, I'm very excited about that, and I wouldn't have gotten to have that opportunity if I didn't know that I wanted to like work in the publishing field and be able to take that course. So I would say, as an English major, to immerse yourself like in the opportunities that you get from like the institution, if you like whichever you're attending, because that gives you lots of connections and opportunity to advance. But as for deciding like if you would like to do it or not, I think that everyone should give what they're passionate about an opportunity, even if it's not necessarily, you know, the like the most money-making degree that you're gonna get, right? Like it's definitely it's difficult but fulfilling. Like there's fulfilling moments and like all those difficulties that you have. So I would say if you're passionate about it and you have a then focus on finding a general direction of what you want to do with that, and then work really hard towards it and take every opportunity you can get. So
That's very
my advice.
nice.
Yeah.
Would you like to say any closing remarks before the end?
Well, just a thank you, of course, for
Oh.
you know, for like having me on the podcast and allowing me to interview. And yeah, like I said, I think it's important to be prepared and organized, but at the same time, life, you only get to live it once, and there is, despite how hard college is, like there's fun moments in it, and I think that everyone should live a little and just make the most of everything, even if it's hard, and take breaks and take care of yourself and do what you love ultimately.
Awesome.
Those are my last remarks.
Very nice words. Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast.